Hi, what's going on everyone, and welcome to another video. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at webhooks, and we're going to be using Paystack as a case study because we're going to write some code that is going to help us integrate Paystack's webhook. And before we do that, I really want to give some explanation to what webhook really is because it can be confusing with that of HTTP streaming and that of the WebSocket. Okay, so without wasting much time, I can say that a webhook is a tool that provides the environment for a server-side application to notify a client-side application that an event has really occurred. And what this means is that you have to create an application. The application that you as a developer is going to be creating is called a client-side application. So once you create a client-side application, you need to provide a URL that you are going to feed that of the server-side application with, and then tell it that anytime there is a change in state, I need you to notify me through this particular URL. And you are going to see when we're going to create that webhook URL. So that is really called webhook URL. And when we create that, you are going to understand this more. Okay, but just know it now that the webhook normally consumes a client-side URL. Okay, so it depends on the client side for it to perform its action, unlike that of the API, which the client-side application normally consumes that of the server-side application, or they normally call a URL or endpoint. Okay, so in this particular webhook, you are going to be the one to create that particular URL or the endpoint and then feed the server-side application with it so that it can notify you anytime that is a change in state. Okay, and I want you to understand, just know it now that webhook is event driven. Okay, so it only takes action when there is a change in state. If anything changes on the server side, maybe it receives an information that it needs to feed you the client side application, is going to, that's the only time it will trigger up. Anything aside from that is going to just stay on its own. And that's why sometimes people call it do not call me, I will call you when I have something new for you, which you're going to see in the next as we move on with our slides. Okay, so let's take a look at the next slide. And here they say that the webhook is reverse API. And what that means is that it means that a webhook is not just purely an API. Okay, it's, of course, we can still say that it's an API, but to a great extent, we cannot just call that a pure API. And the reason for that is this. I'm going to give an example. In an API, you know that client-side application call or consume our server-side application, which is something I just mentioned before now. Okay, so that means that the client-side application is going to be consuming some endpoints on the server side. Okay, let's say something like initialization endpoints on a Paystack. The client-side app will have to consume that for it to allow its users to be able to transact within that particular endpoint or within the application. Okay, so but when you are talking about something like webhook right now, what happens in webhook is that the server-side app will call or consume the client-side app. That means you create your application and create a URL that you are going to feed the server-side application with. So anytime there is a change in state or something happened, it's going to go ahead and consume that URL by sending you some signal. Okay, so that is just how that is. Okay, so let's take a look at some differences between the webhook and that of the API. And to differentiate between these two, if you take a look at this place, this is for webhook and the other side is for just API. And I just spelled out quite a few, just two differences. So under webhook, this is where we really kind of this particular push notification can take place perfectly. Okay, push notification can take place right here. And with this push notification, it means that there's no need for any refresh or any constant polling of the URL or the endpoint or even the server side. You don't have to keep on requesting again and again to a particular webhook URL before you can get some notification. But under API, I mean, you have to constantly be pulling that particular endpoint, okay, or that particular API. You need to always constantly request it. If there is any change in state or something, an update has occurred, you want to keep on checking, you'll be disturbing that particular server, which is going to consume a lot of resources. Okay, you'll be disturbing that particular endpoint for updates. Okay, then number two right here, we say that webhook is event reaction based, and what this means is that it says do not call me, I will call you if I have something new. And That's just one of the very beautiful things that a webhook actually provides. So you don't have to keep on disturbing the particular endpoint for an update. What happens on this particular webhook is that anytime it has something new, if there's a change, if a new transaction comes in, or people who are subscribed to a particular package on your web application, if they couldn't pay, it knows on its own. It's going to send you update. It's going to tell you that those people have unsubscribed or have not been able to pay for their subscription. Okay, but if it is under API, instead of the application sending you that, you need to keep on checking on that. You need to keep on questioning if people really paid or they did not pay. Okay, you need to keep on polling again and again. You'll be disturbing the server for you to get the update. But under webhook, you don't need to disturb the server. The server will find out, and once that is a new state, new change, it's going to go ahead and then react by sending you some information about that. And I hope you guys understand that. Maybe in the future we shall compare something like a webhook, HTTP streaming, and that of the WebSocket. Okay, so that's just that. So what we need to do right now is to find a way that we can go ahead and then start writing some code. So I'm going to go back to my development environment now, and let's get started. All right, so before we go ahead and then do the coding right now, I want you to go to this particular URL. That's just paystack.com/docs/payment/webhooks. So you need to go through this webhook documentation so that you understand what we are really meant to do on this particular page. So they're going to explain everything that you need to know on this particular page, okay, and as well as give you some sample codes that you can make use of. And so that's just those things that we are going to have to kind of do, okay. And we're going to be using PHP in this integration. So if I change this, you can click on this and change this to PHP if you want to see the sample code for PHP. So this is just what it is. Before we go ahead and then do some writing of the code, I want us to take a look at some type of or supported events that Paystack normally sends. Okay, so Paystack has some events, and if you take these things that we have right here are responses. If you have gone through the integration and it works fine, you're going to get some of these responses depending on what you are really integrating. So this one is called a customer identification dot field. So if they couldn't identify a customer, they're going to send this to you through the webhook, and that's just the event that is right there with some information. And they also have something like customer identification successful, and the event is customer identification dot success. So we have quite a good number of them. We have the dispute created, dispute reminder, we have resolve, and we have quite a lot of them. Invoice created, invoice failed, invoice updated, payment request pending, and we also have payment request success, and we do have quite a lot. Okay, we do have quite a lot. Okay, I think that's the one that we're going to experiment with right now, this particular one. So that's just that you need to go through this page so that you can learn about those things, so you can take your time. This is where they explain that in table, all of those types of events or supported events. So they have it right there. All right, guys. So the first thing we need to do after that is to make sure that we are logged into our Paystack dashboard. And what we want to do right now is to create that particular URL that we just talked about. So if you are logged in right now and I'm on test mode, as you can see, what I want to do right now is to go to my settings, and once my settings page opens up, I need to go ahead and click on API and webhooks. And if this page opens up, you need to scroll down to before I scroll down, you see that we have live webhook URL. So if you are switching to live mode, you need to enter your live webhook URL right here. But I'm not going to switch to live mode. I'm going to just be on test mode. So for that reason, I need to scroll down to the test mode region, which is right here. Okay, so I'm going to set my configuration right here. So I'm going to just call this webhook.php, and this is really a file that I have not really created. Okay, this is going to be a file that I have not really created. So this is going to be a webhook.url, and they said something right here that it must be a valid HTTPS. That means I need to really enter. So that means that this cannot work if you are working on your local environment. So if you are just based on something like XAMPP, that this is not going to work for you. So for that reason, you need to enter a live domain. So I'm going to enter HTTPS, and this is going to be louiscare.com, okay, /webhook. So that means that I'm going to have to, if I create this file, as we are going to be working on our application right now, I need to upload it to this particular domain. Okay, so that's what that means. So I'm going to have to Sorry about that. I need to go ahead and then upload it to this particular domain, which is lowecare.com / right there. So that's just what that is, and we need to just go ahead and click on save, and that has been saved. So we need to go ahead and then create this particular file right now within our working environment, and I'm going to do that right now. So if I go to my htdocs right now, this is going to be XAMPP, and I want to go to my htdocs, and what happens is I'm going to go ahead, let me create a new folder right here, which I'm going to just call something like let's call that webhook. So this is going to be webhook um, as a folder name, and we need to go ahead and then create that file and then save it right here. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to have to create that file in my the Visual Studio code right here. So this is the editor I'm going to be using. So let's create that file in here. And all right, so let me throw in my PHP tag right here, and I need to go ahead and close that down here. Okay, and what I want to do right now, let me go ahead and then save this. So this is going to be saved immediately. So let me just go ahead and save this, and go ahead and save that to that folder that we created, which is called, let's go to our HD docs. So that's where we're going to right now. This is going to be XAMPP. Go to XAMPP, open that up, and go to your HD docs, and we'll go ahead and then go ahead and save that particular file inside of this place. So we're going to just call this is going to be called webhook, and let's go ahead and save that. And I want to go ahead and then create another file right now, which I'm going to just go ahead and call that test webhook.php, which is a page that I'm going to use to make integration, because we're going to have to first of all show you see how is it that we are going to integrate the payment process. So first of all, before we can go ahead and link that up to that of the webhook URL. So this is going to be PHP, and you can go ahead and then close that tab right here. And what I'm going to do right now is go ahead and then save this again, and I'm going to call this, I'm going to go ahead, this is saved to webhook already. I'm going to call that test webhook.php like that, and we want to go ahead and save that. Okay, so all right, so with this page being created, and what I really want to do with this page is to integrate Paystack, the payments. But I have done this several times on my channel, so I don't have to show you how to integrate Paystack right now. And most people would just go ahead and then make use of an existing integration that they have online. But I don't like really starting in the middle of an application, showing you files or making use of files that you are really not aware of when I created them or not, or how I created them. But for us not to waste much time, what we're going to do is to just copy the code for the integration. It's going to be a very simple integration. Okay, I'm going to copy the code and then paste it here so that we can go ahead and then speed things up, and I'm going to show you the code once I copy and paste that. Okay, so let's copy that right now. All right guys, so I have that integration copied, so I want to go ahead and paste that in here, and I'm going to go ahead and then show you this right now. And this looks really very small, so we need to increase the font size. Let me do the increasing of the font size and then let you guys know. All right, so to increase the font size, I figured that if I show you, that won't be bad at all. So if you go to file and go to preferences and go to settings right here, and here is what actually helps in kind of getting the font size up and running. So I'm going to copy this particular line right now, and I want to paste that down here. Let me paste it in here, and what I'm going to do right now is to change this. I'm going to change that to something like, let's say 28, and let's go ahead and save that. And if we save it, you're going to notice that there will be a change in the size of the font. Okay, so that's just basically how to change that. And then to explain what my code is right here, I just brought in the endpoint of the Paystack payment transaction endpoint, which remember that what we're doing on this page right now, we're trying to consume the API. Okay, so that's just API consumption for you. So we're trying to consume the API. So you see that the client-side application is consuming an endpoint. So this particular URL right now is what the client side is trying to consume. So, and that's just part of the explanation that I gave earlier before now, that the API applications, our client-side application will always consume a server-side endpoint or URL. Okay, so this is the URL that I just brought in right now. And after that, we need to gather the data to be sent to the endpoint. So the endpoint is going to need an email and it's going to need an amount. This is just the two basic things that it's going to really need for it to be able to initialize a transaction. Okay, so we've provided the data right here, and we're going to see that we're going to make use of this data somewhere down. So I want to show you that down here. So here is where it is. So those custom fields that we have right here, or the post fields, we're going to just go ahead and pass in that particular variable down here. Okay, and after that, there are some quite a few couple of settings that I did. Okay, and from here right now, we're just trying to kind of create the call session, and we're just trying to initialize the call. And after that, we try to turn off mandatory SSL, which really we do not need to turn it off right now. So even if it stays as true right here, that will be that won't be so bad. That will work just fine. Okay, in fact, we can go ahead and then comment this particular line out because we have HTTPS enabled on that particular environment. Okay, so I just added that in there because I really developed this offline and I wanted to be sure that I test my application just fine. Okay, so let's make sure we spell that right in case we ever want to comment that. And after that, we just try to configure the URL session based on the type of request. So that is just we did work here. After that, we decided that this is a post request. So that's why we have that in here. So we set that to true to make sure it's post. This is not a gate. Okay. And after that, I've explained this. That's where we brought in the payment data. And after that, we need to set some custom headings right here, which is where we need to bring in our what is it called, our secret key. So you want to do what you want to do right now is if you go to your web development environment, no, not your web development environment, but your Paystack dashboard, you want to go ahead and replace this one with your own. So if you don't know how to do that, I think you should know right here. So if you come to this place right now, you need to go to, you're already here. This is API and webhooks. So if you click on this eye icon right here, you're going to go ahead and copy this particular code right here. Okay, as you can see, my own is just the same. Okay, and you don't have to make use of my own. You have to make use of your own so that you can be getting all of the results that you want. All right. So after that, the next thing that we did is just to set the content type, and after that, we went ahead and then run the call. This is where we executed the call with this particular function. And after that, we need to grab onto any possible error that may come off. And after that, we use if statement to check for the errors. So, and then down here, what we did right here is to convert to JSON object. Remember that right there where we executed this right here, we did the execution of the stuff right here. It's going to return something to us after the execution, and what is going to return is going to be in JSON format, okay, or something in form of an array. But in accessing them, we need to convert them to JSON objects so that we can use things like arrow in form of object to access whatever result that comes out from that particular plan. And that's what we did here. That's how we were able to redirect this particular URL, the authorization URL right here. So as you can see the syntax, I'm using arrows here. So that happens with this particular line. So had it been we did not convert that into JSON object right here, it wouldn't have been possible for us to use these arrows right here. So after that, we just tried to print out something to the screen, and I have that commented out. We don't need to see that right now. Probably I must have seen that quite a lot of times. So that's just basically what that is. So take a look at that. Be sure you get the code on GitHub, okay? Or you can just go ahead and type it out. It's not too much. Okay, just go ahead and type that out. So let's go ahead and save this. And what we need to do right now is to go ahead and then try to make payments. Okay, and you can if you want to alter the email, you can. Okay, just go ahead and enter your own email right here. You don't have to use my own. So let me use my official email address, which is going to be called the Lord of Us at gmail.com. So this is what we're going to be using, the Lord of Apps at gmail.com. And the amount to be paid is just 100 naira. You can enter this amount and you have to multiply that with 100. Whatever amount you enter here, make sure you multiply that by 100 because they will always return the amount that they want to charge you in Kobo. Okay, so that is just that. So let's have this saved, and the next thing we need to do right now, we need to go ahead and then upload this particular file to this particular URL, this particular domain called Loic here. which I've shown you before now. So I'm going to have to upload that. So let me go to. All right, so I've been successfully logged on to the live server. I'm using FileZilla. I want to upload the file that we just created, talking about this text webhook.php that we just created. I want to upload that and then do the test. We could still get the same result if we have that, if we have only this particular file right now offline, and if we go through the testing, we should still be able to get the webhook, but the one that must be on the live server has to be this one, this webhook.php, which we haven't written any code on it yet. But just to make sure that we're on the safer side, just know that everything has to just be uploaded to a live server. So I'm going to upload this file right now, and let me look for the file from here. We have a folder which is inside of not really there, but here. So I'm going to open this up, and I think it was okay. It was called webhook, so we need to open up. I think I already even have something uploading which I need to stop. Let me see how I can stop this right now. All right, so I have that stopped. So we need to go to the folder that we created earlier, and we want to go ahead and upload this particular file, which is test webhook, and I want to upload that right now. And as you can see, it has been uploaded. So if we look for the file here, we should be able to find that particular file, test webhook. So this is the file right now. So all we need to do now is to go to our browser, and then we should solve to that particular directory. So we're going to just say louiscare. This is going to be louiscare.com/test webhook.php. So that's the file, and if everything works fine, it should redirect us to where we'll have to pay with whatever amount and the email that is attached to that particular file. Okay, and as you can see, it's redirecting to the payment page, so that means that everything worked fine. Cool, congratulations. So this is the email that we typed in there, and followed by the amount that we have right there, so we can make payment right now. Okay, so that's cool guys. So we've gotten the integration out of the way. The next thing that we need to do right now is to go ahead and begin to work on the webhook itself, which we have to go to. Let's go back to our development environment. We need to work on this file, and once we are done, we need to upload that and then do the testing. All right, so without wasting much time, I've already shown you the documentation on Paystack, which is right here. You can go ahead and then follow this part. Okay, you can follow the documentation. I mean, take your time to read the documentation and see how it works, if you can really understand that. But what I'm going to do right now is to go ahead and then show you how I'm going to do my own, and it's going to be really very simple. So if I go to my web development environment, first thing I want to do right now is to create a variable which I'm going to use to hold the payment data. So for that reason, I'm going to just say this is going to be payment, this is payment detail, and I want to go ahead and set that to be equal to this particular I'm going to copy this. So I'm going to copy this right now, and once I go back to my web development environment, I need to paste that in here. That's just what we want to get on the first line. And after that, what I want to do right now is I want to create a variable that I'm going to use to hold what is it called, the headers that are peculiar for this particular Paystack webhook. And in doing that, I want to put that in a variable which I'm going to just call headers, and I want to go ahead and then pass that onto a function that is called a get all headers in PHP. So this is going to be get all headers, and that's just what that line is going to be. And I want to update that particular line right now down here. So if I say header, and I want to go ahead and then go ahead and put that, whatever that is in this particular, anything that we'll get from this get all headers, which is a function right now, I want to go ahead and then put that in the JSON format right now. And in doing that is really very simple. What I'm going to do is this. So I'm going to just use the function called JSON underscore decode, and I want to go ahead and then pass in this particular variable in here to that place. So this is going to be like this. Okay, so that's just going to help me be able to kind of grab whatever that is inside of this place in form of objects. Okay, and if I have that in place right now, that's quite a very quick thing that I want to do right now. And I'm going to be very sincere with you. Up to this point, it's really very hard for developers to really debug errors within their webhook integrations. Okay, so if you have errors or you even have a success, it's really hard for web developers to really find out what errors or what even the headers that are associated with a particular webhook. And since it's really not visible at this moment, so we figured out a way to really do that. Most of the time for writing coil or PHP, we used to use something like var dump or print r to see the data that's getting returned from the API that we're integrating with. But it is not like that with that of the webhook. So what I'm going to do right now is to use a function that is called the file underscore put underscore content to write a new file. onto this particular server that is a Loic here, okay, the server that we just uploaded something to right now, okay. And in doing that, what I'm going to do now, let me make use of the function right here to create a new file. So if everything goes fine, it's going to create a new file for me, and it's going to kind of carry some content into that particular file. And let's create the first one. So this is going to be file underscore put content, and this file put content is going to need two parameters. The first one is going to be the file that you wanted to create, the name of the file, and the second one is going to be what content do you want it to put into that file. Okay, so that's just the two things that these things are going to need. And for the first one, first parameter, we're going to create a new file. So we're going to just say file. So let's call this file .html. We're going to create an HTML file within that directory. And after we create that, we want to go ahead and then tell it what content we want it to put into that particular place. And what I'm going to do is that we're going to put it's going to be this payment details. I want to first of all grab onto these payment details, and before I print that out, I want to kind of put that in HTML tag that is called a pretty file. And let me do that like this. So this is going to be PRE, just to make the file readable. So I'm going to concatenate onto this particular variable that I just copied called a payment details. And I want to go ahead and also concatenate onto the closing tag of that of the prettify HTML tag. So I'm going to just do this PRE and close the tag right there. Okay, so what this is going to be is just to make sure that it makes the whatever that is in this payment details. It's going to create this file first of all. This function will create this file, and it's going to put whatever that is getting returned from this particular line. Okay, the payment details. It's going to paste that inside of this file. Okay, so if we visit this file on our browser after each execution, this page is going to get updated. So that's just what that is, and it's going to make it prettify, to make it readable. So I'm going to terminate this line, and I really want to copy that particular line right now. And what I want to do with that line, I want to paste it down here, and I want to find out how is it, whatever that is getting returned to us through this HTML headers. Okay, we want to see the headers that is coming back from Paystack. So for that reason, I'm going to copy this variable right there, and I want to use it to replace this one. Okay, so I'm going to paste that in there. And what I want to do, instead of calling this file 1, the file is, I'm going to just rename that to file 2. So we have two different files. It's going to create two files for us if the execution works just fine. And after that, we have just one more simple thing that we could do right now, and that's to bring in the HTTP response code, which is going to be 200. So we're going to do that down here. So I'm going to just say HTTP underscore response, and we're going to set that to this is going to be code, and that's going to be 200. So if everything works fine, it's going to return that status code, which is 200, meaning that everything is just fine. And after that, let's create something like an event. We'll create a variable which we're going to just call now we should call this is going to be event. So let's put events from Paystack like that. And to do that is really very simple. We're going to do that down here. So I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to just call event, and I want to set that to be equal to this particular payment details that we have right here, this variable. So I'm going to copy that, and I want to go ahead and then paste that right down here. But I want to wrap that with that of our function called JSON underscore decode, JSON underscore decode like that. And I want to close that down here. And the reason for this particular line that we have here is just for me to, I want to be able to fetch whatever event or whatever payment details that has been returned for us, and then be able to access them using object down here. Okay, so that's just what this line is going to do for me, nothing much. And I just want to leave that right there. What I want to do first of all right now is just let's go ahead and test this application. I'm going to upload this and go ahead and test that. So let's save this, and if we go back to our XAMPP, what we want to do right now is to let's refresh this site, open this up, and I want to go ahead and upload this particular file. So as you can see right here, we do not have that file in existence. So if you press W, it's not going to take you to Webhook. So we need to upload this right now. I'm going to right click on that and set it to upload, and it seems like the upload is being completed. So let's still give it a little bit of time. All right, so that upload is completed. So we have success transfers is now 2. And if you check here, if we press W, it should move us to this place that says webhook.php, which wasn't here before. Okay, so we're never going to be interacting with this particular webhook in our browser. However, that is why it is really called event driven. So it's going to be doing its work on its own. And remember that the file that we just created right now, these two files right here, we can't find them on what is it called, on our root directory right now. We cannot find it down here. Okay, it's not found anywhere here. So if you press N right now, it's going to just, what I have here is just news.php, and I'm not going to find that new file unless if we make a payment or something happens during the transaction, and that file is going to get created automatically on this place. Okay, so let's see how that is going to work now. So if I go to my browser and I want to go to that payment page, what I'm going to do right now is let's try and make payment with this page. So I'm going to click on success and then hit pay. Oh yes, so that payment has gone through, and what we need to do now is let's check from this place if we're going to find a file. And so let's refresh this, and let's see whether we're going to see new file. And congratulations guys, so as you can see, the new files, two new files has been created. So this is file 2, new file, and this is the first one. Okay, so if you watch that very well, you see that 2 new files has been created. So that means that the webhook really works. That's why it was able to kind of create these 2 files for us. And if we want to see what is inside of it, let's check maybe the first one. So I'm going to go to this is going to be louiscare.com, and we want to say / that should be that first one. So we're going to just say this is going to be file.html, and if we open that up, we should be able to see whatever that Paystack is returning to us to that file. And congratulations guys, so it was able to return that. So if you watch this place, you see that this is event and we have success. Okay, the event is set to success, and this is for the data, which we have the payment ID right there, and the domain is under test, status success, reference is right there, amount is there, and quite all the information that we need are going to be there guys. So that's just what I was talking about. Okay, so we're able to get all of that. All right, so that's really cool. That's really cool. And as we move along, we're going to fetch some data from this place and then put that in the database. So I just want you to put that in mind. All right, and I believe that if we check the second file, which is file 2, we should also be able to see something in that page. So let me create a new tab right here, and I'm going to surf through to that particular file. So I'm going to add 2 right here and open that up, and the page really opens. That means the page was created, but we can't find anything in here. And let's check our code to see where that error might be coming from. So if we check, we are trying to print out this particular variable called headers here, because we got that updated. We got the first one updated here. And okay, you know what, let's change this from the code to encode and see. So I'm going to just call that this is going to be encode, JSON_encode. Can spell encode today. All right, so that's just JSON_encode right there. And what I want to do right now, I'm going to re-upload this. Let me re-upload that very quick, and let's try again. So I should be able to do this off camera guys. You don't need to watch me do this anymore. So I'm going to kind of pause this right now. All right, so I got that re-uploaded, and what I want to do right now is to go ahead and let's try to make another payment. We need to go to Louis key again, and where we want to go right now is going to be that test webhook. So we need to open that up again, and that should be able to redirect us to another payment page where we'll have to make another payment, and then we need to refresh these 2 pages to see if change is coming. And if that really works fine, if we refresh this page, we should have a different something of this nature is going to change. Okay, that's the reference, the payment reference. Just bear this in mind. Okay, if it works fine and that got posted, that's going to refresh, and then it's going to change this particular reference now. Okay, so that's just that. And seems like my network is no longer strong. All right, so let's go ahead and make the payment again, and let's watch what's going to happen. And that was successful. Okay, so if you go back to this place right now, once that is successful and it reaches that particular web hook URL, it's going to update this page. And as you can see, this changed. Okay, this changed. And let's check this place. Since I changed that to encode, let me see what I'm going to see something out here. And congratulations guys, so we changed that to encode, and it was able to print out stuff for us. So this is the connection is closed right now, and the host is Louis here, and we have the content length to be 1157, and this is really the signature from Paystack right now for this payment. And we're going to basically make use of this particular one, right? as we check for to make sure that the payment is really coming from a Paystack. So we're going to copy this and then make use of it as we move along. So that's just what that is, guys. So let me scroll to this part. We have the user agent, Paystack 2.0, and the likes of the information that we need right there. So that is just that, guys. Congratulations if your own works up to this point, and we want to take the development further. We want to see how is it that we can check for some certain things. All right, guys. So let me go to my development environment, and if you have really studied this documentation, this page that I just showed you, you should know that Paystack will not even pay any attention if whatever that is coming in from this page is not in a post request. So if it is coming in as something like GET request, it's not going to pay any attention to you. So for that reason, we need to do some checkings up here. So I'm going to just say check to be sure that it's a post method or request like that. And to do that, I'm going to have to do that. Let me just do that down here. And what I'm going to just say if, and what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to check onto the server. That will be the first thing that I want to check right now. I want to check the server to see whether I can see a post request. But I want to go ahead and pass that through a straight to uppercase kind of a function. So I'm going to just say str. This is going to be this is going to be str, and that's going to be to upper. So that's going to be str to upper, which is a function in PHP. And within that particular function, that's where I need to pass in the server, and I'm going to just say server. And what I want to do, this particular server is just it's a super global variable, so it's going to need one index right now, and the index is going to be request. So I'm going to just say request underscore, and this is method, and we want to go ahead and then set that particular method right now to be equal to, so this is going to be, well, let's use not equal to. So if it is not equal to post method, which we're going to put quote right here, so this is going to be post. I want to go ahead and then deny the user the access to this particular web page. So I'm going to put brackets in here, and what I'm going to do is to just go ahead and then exit this particular file right here. So this is going to be exit like that, and let's terminate this particular line in here. So this line is going to be terminated, and I want to explain that a little bit more. So we're trying to make sure that if what is in the server, okay, as we're getting onto any request that takes place and is trying to post that request to our webhook URL, it's going to check that the request method is set to post. If it is not post, if it is get, I want the file to just die. Okay, that's the meaning of this thing that we have here. And from this place down has to be the else part of it. Okay, so the else part of it it means that anything that is on that page that comes into that page is now a post request. So we can go ahead and do the following that we did down here. You understand that? So we can go ahead and then do that. And then before we get to this, there is another checking that we are also recommended to check. We need to also go ahead and then check for something like the signature, which is the hash mark kind of thing. Paystack normally use their SHA-F12 to do that, which is what I showed you that time. That's something like a base 512 kind of a stuff. Talking about this particular place right now. And before I do that, and what I want to do now is I'm going to have to put that down here. But before I use the if statement to check for that, I want to define a constant in here, which I'm going to use to grab onto Paystack's test secret key. So I'm going to just say define, and it's just a function. So I'm going to do it like this. But once I get into this place, I want to put that in quotes. Okay. And I want to create a constant. I'm going to call http underscore x underscore paystack, and everything has to be in uppercase. So this is going to be paystack underscore signature, which is the signature that I just showed you right now. So this is going to be signature, and like that. So I want to introduce a comma outside of this place, and that's what I'm going to use right now to kind of bring in paystack's secret key. So I'm going to put another quotation here. And we need to open up this file right here, and let's scroll down and get the test secret key, which is right here. So I'm going to just copy this particular test secret key. So got that copied, and remember to always use yours, don't use mine. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in here. So with that line, we brought in the Paystack test secret key, which we are going to make use of it somewhere down. So to use if statement to check for the signature, I'm going to just say if. And within this if statement right now, what I want to do, let me bring in the server first of all, because we're going to check or look for that from the server. So this is going to be server. What we need for the server right now is going to be the HTTP Paystack signature that we just created. So we're going to put that in quotes, and I want to copy it from here. So this is going to be copied, and then we're going to put that in here, and we want to make sure that that which we have got from that place is not equal to. If it is not equal to, we want to make sure that it is equal. But if we say not equal to, let's use exactly, not exactly equal to. So if it is not equal to this particular hash underscore hash mark like that, and all we're going to do right now is to, first of all, this particular function is going to need like 3 parameters. The first one is going to be the constant, which you can also find that from Paystack's documentation, that page that I showed you. And the constant is really simple. So the constant is called SHA512 right there. Most people will use something like a 256, or Paystack at this moment makes use of a 512. So that's the first parameter that we're going to need. We're going to introduce a comma right there. And the next one that we're going to need is this particular payment details. So I'm going to copy this from here and we want to paste that down here. Okay, so that should be payment details, guys. So we need to spell that right. That is payment details, and we need to introduce another comma right here. And the next parameter that we need right now is going to be the Paystack of secret key, which is I think I made a mistake right here. This constant that we created here, I think this one is already on the server. Wasn't supposed to make use of this. I was supposed to create a brand new constant right here. So this should have been called a Paystack. Sorry about this, guys. I'm going to just change this to Paystack. Okay, let's call that secret key. You can call that anything, but I'm just going to let that be secret underscore. Let's call that key. So that will really designate what this is, guys. So I'm really sorry that I made use of this. This one is already in the server if the payment is really coming from a Paystack. Okay, so we don't need to be the one to create this particular array, I mean this particular index right here. Okay, so I'm sorry about that. So this is, we have Paystack underscore secret underscore key, and that's going to match up with this right there. So what this if statement is trying to do right now is to, once it gets the one that is on the server, it wants to make sure that what is on the server matches with what is on the payment details. Okay, if it isn't, this time around we're trying to say that if it is not exactly the same, we can go ahead and then do something down here, which, let me just use shorthand right here. So I'm going to say exit, which means I'm going to exit from here down. We're not going to get to the HTTP response, which is 200 right here. So it's going to exit the file from that particular place, and that is just what that is going to be. Okay, so that's just that. And let's go ahead to take this further. And what we're going to do next is to find a way that we can really fetch some of this data that we have on this page. Okay, I want to find out how is it that we can fetch some of this data that we have on this page and then put that in a database. Okay, we want to put that in a database. So to do that is really going to be very simple. I believe that you guys already know how to do this. So let's go ahead and then do that, which we have them in an object right now. And what we're going to do, first of all, I want to get the charge event, and I'm going to put that in a variable. I'm just going to say charge event. So this is going to be charge event, and I want to go ahead and set that to be equal to this particular event variable that we have in here. So this is going to be event, and we want to use arrows. That's the meaning of what we did right here. Okay, this place where we have events, and we're able to pass it through a JSON underscore decode function. So we can now use arrows here. And if you take a look at that browser right now, you see that the charge event is right here. So they say event, and next thing is charge success. And so to grab onto what is there right now, you can just go ahead and just say event. So with that line alone, you've gotten the event in place. Okay, so that's very simple, guys. It's not hard at all. And the next thing I want us to get right now is going to be the reference, the payment reference. So I'm going to just say reference, and we're going to go ahead and then set that to be equal to, this is going to be event again. And if we set that event, we're going to use arrow. And after that, we need to get into the data, and I'm going to show you why I'm using data right now. And after that, we can now go ahead and fetch onto the reference. So look at it right here. So we have something like an object here, or an array, which is called data. And everything that is inside of this place, from that square bracket upwards, we have to pass through the data before you can get hold on to anything that is inside of this square bracket. Okay, so we mentioned data, and we're going to have to reference now so that we can get this. And so what I'm going to do now is to just say reference right here, and With that alone, we've gotten the reference. And after that, we need to get to grab onto the amount. So I'm going to copy this and paste that down here. And I want to change this to amount. And after that, this is going to be amount. So I want to change this to amount. After that, let me just copy this part. We need to go to the next line. And what we want to fetch on the next line is going to be the status. So I'm going to just say status. And we're going to go ahead and then paste what I just copied. And this is going to be, that should have copied that with data. So sorry about that. So it's going to be data, and after data we need to go ahead and then grab onto the status. So this is going to be status, and that is just that on that. And after that we need also to fetch, or we need to also fetch the first name. So if we get down to this place, I'm going to just say create a variable. I'm going to just call first name underscore name, and we'll go ahead and then paste this. And we want to grab onto the first name that's really found under customers. So we need to go to the data. From data we need to go to customer, and after customer we need to now go to the column that we want to fetch, which in this case is called the first name. And this is going to be first underscore name, and I'm not making this up myself, so let me show you that. If we want to grab onto the first name, if we scroll to the customer object right now, we should be able to, and here is it. So we have customer object here. So this is the ID, this is first name, and we have last name, and then even the email. So that's where I'm really getting those things from right now. And then so that is it for the first name. The next one we want to grab onto now is going to be the last name. So I'm going to copy this line and paste it down here. And this is going to be last. So this is going to be last name. And we should change this one to last. So this is going to be last. And after that, we want to fetch the, what is it called? That's going to be the customer email. So I'm going to let me paste this and then change this to customer email. So this is going to be customer underscore email. And we want to change this to, sorry about that. And so this is going to be changed to customer email. So we want to change this to customer. I think it wasn't really called a customer email, it was just called email. So I'm going to just make use of email only right there. And after that line we need to go and then grab onto the customer code. Okay, so if we paste what we already copied, we change this to customer code. So this is going to be, I'm going to call that customer underscore code, and we should change this to, from this place, this is going to be customer code. So this is going to be customer underscore code, and that is just that. Those are the things that we want to fetch right now. And after that, down here, what I'm going to do now is to find a way to go ahead and then insert stuff into my database. So I'm going to put a comment here and say insert data into DB like that. So I'm going to do that down here. And so before we do the insertion of the data, we need to have connected to our database. So we need to do that up here. So what I'm going to do is to connect to a connection string that I already have. So I have that in an includes folder. So what I'm going to do right now is to just basically connect to that particular inclusive folder up here. And you should go ahead and then do your own connection, but maybe I will show you the source code. I mean how I really connected, because we're going to be using PDO in this connection, because PDO actually makes things a lot better. So I'm going to just say include. So it's going to be include, maybe we should use include once, and I want to go ahead and then bring in that particular folder. First of all, so this is going to be includes, and so this should be in quotation, guys. I want to put that in quotation, and then I want to go ahead. I'm going to say / and the file that I had that in is called db.php. So this is going to be db.php, right, like that. And if you want to see the file, let me show you how the file looks like, and you can copy and make use of this particular thing that we have in here. Okay, so this is my connection. So you can do something of this nature, where you just have to pass in your username, your password right here, and then the DB name. Okay, so your username here, password, and then the DB name. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and then close this right now. And what I'm going to do is to get down to this place and then start the insertion. So we're going to be using prepared statement in PDO, since it makes things a lot more secure. And what I'm going to do right now is to, so let's create a variable that we're going to just say insert into, and we're going to go ahead and then write our SQL in here. So this is going to be insert into, and we're going to go ahead and mention the table which we haven't created, but we're going to create that as we move along. So we're going to just say insert into first table, and we're going to have to create two tables here, guys. So the person who requested for this actually demanded that I should find a way to put that put some data from this first table and then put that in the next table. I don't know what I really want to do with that, and yeah, I'm just going to do that, even though I feel somehow doing pulling out the same data from the same database and then putting them in another table. Okay, so within the same database, but that's just okay. We're going to have to do that. So this is going to be event, and after event, we're going to create another row which is going to call ref for reference. And after that, we're going to create another one that we're going to call amount. So this is the amount. And after that, we need to create the status. So this is going to be status. And after status, we need to move on to creating the first name colon. So this is going to be first underscore name. And after that, we need to create that of the last name. So this is going to be last underscore name. And that should, okay, we also need to create a customer email. So this is going to be customer underscore email. And after that, we need to grab onto the customer code. So I'm going to just say customer underscore code. And that's just that on that particular line right there. So the next thing we need to do is to create the value. So I'm going to put, press enter right here. And let's go ahead and just say values, which this part is going to be, we're going to be dealing with the variables. Those variables that we have up here, that's what we're going to be dealing with down here. And with PDO, what we're going to be doing is we're going to just say colon, and the first one that we have there is going to be the charge event. So I'm going to just say charge and events. Okay, so that's going to be charge event. And after charge event, we need to also grab onto the reference. So we just say colon reference. And after that, the next one we need to grab onto is going to be the amount. So I will just say amount. And after that, we need to grab onto the status. So this is going to be status like that. And the next one is going to be the first name. So this is going to be colon first underscore name. And after that, we need to grab onto the last name. So this is going to be colon and last underscore name. And after that, we need to grab onto the customer email. So this is going to be colon, and we're going to just say customer underscore email. And finally, the last one is going to be the customer code. So it's going to be colon, and we should say customer underscore code like that. So I think that is just it for that line. And we need to go ahead and then terminate this line right here. So I'm going to put a terminating character in there. And on the next line, so let's press enter. We need to kind of go ahead and then prepare the statement. And to prepare the statement, I want to put that in this statement. So I'm just say if, and within this place right here, let me create a variable that I'm going to call stmt, which is short for statement. So this is going to be stmt, and I want to go ahead and then pass that through the prepare method. So this is going to be prepare, and within this prepare method, we're going to need this variable which is called insert into. So we'll pass that right here. And that is just that. And before we move ahead, I think we need to pass our instance right here. So this is going to be, I'm going to just say PDO, and we need to use an arrow since what is it called? A PDO is really object oriented. So this particular one now is coming from the file that I just showed you. So if you take a look at your connection, the connection that I just showed you right now, you see this variable here, which is the PDO instance. Alright, so after that, we need to go ahead and then bind our parameters. So I'm going to put a comment here and then say bind params, and that is just that. So in binding the param, we're going to be making use of the stmt statement variable that we just created up here. Okay, so make use of that, and in binding the first one, we're going to try to possibly just bind all of these variables that we have here to their respective this name their parameters to their respective variables. And I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So stmt, and we're going to use arrows, and we're going to pass that through the bind param method. So this is going to be bind param that, and we need to, this is going to take basically three parameters right now. The first one is going to be this name their parameters. So the first one is going to be charge event, and after that we need to, let's introduce a comma here, and we need to bind that against the variable which is charge event. And so we need to bind that as a string, and to do that we're going to just do PDO double colon, and we're going to just say param underscore str. So with this particular line right now, we've really binded our charge event as a string. So I'm going to copy this because I'm going to paste that a couple more times so I can use that to modify. So let's do that now. I'm going to paste that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I think we'll have 5 columns. If it's more than 5 columns, we can paste more as we move along. So I'm going to change this one. After if charge event, the next one we have is reference. So we need to just say reference like that and change this to reference. So this is going to be a reference. And after reference, we need to move on to the amount. So this is going to be amount. So change this to amount like that. And after amount, we need to change this one to status. So this is going to be status like that. And we need to change this one to status. And after status, we have a first name right there. So this is going to be first underscore name, and change this one to, and this is going to be first underscore name right there. And the next one is going to be last name. So we're going to just say last underscore name, and we're going to change this one to last underscore name right there. And we need one more line, a bit 2 more lines here, 2 more lines. So I'm going to paste these 2 more times. And the next one after last name is going to be the customer email. So we're going to just put customer underscore, that's going to be underscore email, and change this to customer underscore email right there. And after that, we need to do this last one, which is customer code. So we're going to just say customer. So that's going to be customer underscore code, and change this to customer underscore code right there. So that's just basically those things that we need to bind. And after that, the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and execute those variables up there. So we're going to put it, let's just say bind, not bind, but execute. So let's just say execute, execute params, something of that nature. And to execute that, let's put that in an if statement. So we're going to just say, within this place right now, I'm going to make use of that statement variable again. So this is going to be stmt, and we want to go ahead and then pass that through the execute function. So I'm going to also say execute, and that's a method. So I'm going to pass in that parenthesis in there. And what we're going to do now is this. So if that really executes, what do we want to do? Whatever we want to do is going to be within this place right here, which or we can just go ahead and just echo out a message right here, and maybe say something like, let's say something like data inserted, but I'm not going to leave that there. So we'll just say something like data inserted, because we're not going to like interact with this particular web page on our own. It's just the webhook URL, so it's going to be doing that on itself. So there is really no need for us to print out this in here. But let me just put that there. Rather, what we're going to do later is to make sure that we fetch whatever that has been executed, and we should change this. This should be a small letter, guys. So this should be execute like this. So sorry that I left that to be capital letter before now. So what we're going to do is to find a way to get into this particular table that we're working on right now, which is first table. This particular table right here, we're going to get into it, and what we're going to do once we get into it is to go ahead and fetch some of the things that we have inserted into that particular place. We'll fetch them and then insert them into another table. Okay, so but first of all, what we're going to do is to save this page and then go ahead and create the first table that we have just created right now. We need to create this table and its columns and test it. So if it works fine, then we can now forge ahead. Okay, so let's save this and then do the uploading, which I'm going to have to do the uploading right now. Let's go ahead and do that, and let's make sure that we're connected. All right, so let's refresh this. Let's make sure that that place is really refreshed, and I want to upload this again. So I'm going to upload that. All right, so as you can see, that has been uploaded. So the next thing that I need to do right now is to go ahead and then log on to my PHP, my admin on the server, which is on the live domain of lowikia.com. And then we can go ahead and then create the table right there. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll take it up from there. All right, guys, so I'm logged on to my server online. I want to go ahead and create a new table right here. So I'm going to just scroll down. As you can see, I have a couple of tables in here. So I'm going to create a new one down here, which I'm going to just go ahead and then let's call that the name. I think we'll call that a first underscore name table rather. So that was first underscore table. And we want to go ahead and then create till the colons are up to 9. Let me count that. So all right, so that's going to be 10, guys. So we're going to go ahead and then hit create, and that's going to open up. So we need to create ID for this. So this is going to be ID, and we want to set that to 11, and I want to put this to auto increment and also set that to primary key. And after that, we need to go ahead and then create the first one we're going to create is going to call the event, and the event is going to be set to, we should set this to varchar, and let this be something like, let's say 200. And the next one that we're going to create now is going to be the ref. So we're going to just to ref, and I'm still going to set that to variable character, and let's set that to something like 200 again. And after that, I'm going to go ahead and then set that of the amount. So this is going to be amount, and we want to set that to variable character, and that's going to be, let's just say that that's going to be something like 100 or 255. Let's set that to max 255. And after that, we need to create the status, which is going to be set to variable character again, and we want to set that to something like, let's say 100. And we should set the, this time I should be the first name, so this is going to be first underscore name, and we want to set that to variable character, and that's going to be 200. And let's set the last name right there, so this is going to be last underscore name and variable character, and we want to set that to 200. And after that, we need to set the what is it called, the customer email. So this is going to be customer underscore email, and we want to set that to variable character again, and we're going to go ahead and set that to 100. So this is going to be set that to 100. And after that, we need to go ahead and then set the customer code. So this is going to be customer underscore code, and we want to go ahead and set that to variable character again, and let's just go ahead and set that to be equal to 200 again. And then lastly, we're going to set the, let's just call that created, which is just for the date. So I'm going to set that to date time, and set this to current timestamp so that it will insert automatically on this, so we don't have to manually insert that. So that's just basically what it is right now. You can take a look at the table and make sure that yours looks just like this. And let's go ahead and hit save, and that has been saved. So if we browse it right now, we don't have any data at the moment. And what we're going to do now is to go ahead and test it, and to test it we need to make another payment. So let's say we make a payment. This is going to be Louis Care, and that's going to be test webhook URL. So alright, so let's make another payment, and if we click pay, and that payment has gone through. And what happens is that we need to check this table to know whether that is going to post that particular data to this page, and it seems like that was not posted. Okay, so I can't see it getting posted to this, but we need to, let's take a look at our development environment to see whether whether we have an error. Okay, so if we go back to our development environment, we need to take a look at our page here. So we're saying insert into the table that we just called first table, and we're inserting into event. Okay, let me just take a look at that. All right guys, so I just discovered one error right now. If you scroll up to this place where we have if statement right here, I discovered that we did not pass in the third parameter in here. I don't know how we got to forget about that, but with the third parameter that place needs is going to be the test secret key, which is the constant that we have created before now right here. And if this really does not really match, it's not going to allow this take place. So we need to paste in that what is it called, that constant in there. Okay, so let's save this, and we should try it again to see whether what we have just done works just fine. And if you save that, so let's without wasting much time, let's go and try it again and see whether this is going to work. So we need to re-upload this, guys. So let's go ahead and re-upload that, and I'm going to just refresh this place. So once that page is refreshed, you need to go ahead and then re-upload that webhook, and let's click OK. And as you can see, that has been uploaded. So we need to go through the testing again. So if I go to the payment page, which is right here, we need to go through that test webhook again and make the payment. All right, so let's click on success and then click on pay, and that has gone through. So if we check our database right now, I expect that data to come in, and we still couldn't see that. Okay, I think I just figured out something else that we did not really do right down here. So where we executed this file, so we're supposed to use an arrow right here. So this is supposed to be an arrow like that. So let's save that, and we need to re-upload this again. So let's make sure we refresh this particular file and then re-upload it. So that has been re-uploaded. So let's try that again, and we say Louis here to the test webhook, and let's click on success and then hit pay, and that payment is successful again. So let's check here, and congratulations guys, so that now came in. So the error, we have just corrected the error. Okay, so we have just corrected the error, and congratulations if your own works up to this point. So let's take that further to the next level. What we need to do now is this particular table that we have something inserted into it right now. I want to be able to fetch some certain things from here and then put it in a new table that we're going to create. Okay, so let's write the code for fetching that, and let's do that here. So I'm going to just comment this out. Let's go ahead and do that down here. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to first of all fetch the last inserted ID by what you have done up here. So I want to fetch the last inserted ID. And with PDO, fetching the last inserted ID is really very simple. So I'm going to just create a variable. I'm going to just call last. That's going to be last underscore ID. And I want to go ahead and set that to be equal to, we need to comment, indent this. So it should be like this. So, and I want to use a function or a method from PDO, which is really called the last insert ID. So I'm going to say last insert that, and you can go ahead and then with this line alone, once it executes, it's going to fetch the last inserted ID for us. Okay, so that's what this particular method is going to do for us. So on the next line, we are going to create a variable, and let the variable be called fetch data from first table. So we're going to create that and call that fetch underscore data from underscore first table. And we want to go ahead, this is going to be a select statement guys, so we need to go ahead and then do a select statement here. So it's going to be select, and we want to select all this time around. So this is going to be select all from the first table, which was called the first. It was called first underscore table, like that. And so make sure you type the table name right. So we need to fetch that from that table where, so let's type that in capital letter. So where the ID that is on that table, ID column, is equal to this particular last inserted ID that we just created, this particular ID right here. So I'm going to say last underscore ID. Okay, so with that line, we've been able to fetch that, but after that, we need to kind of prepare our statement down here. So we're going to just say, to prepare our statement, let's create a variable again that we're going to call stmt, and we're going to go ahead and then pass that through the prepare method that we have. So first of all, let's bring in our PDO instance, and we're going to go ahead and just say prepare that, and let's terminate this line. But we're going to need this particular variable that we have up here. So I'm going to copy this variable. So I'll copy this and then go ahead and paste it right here. Okay, so that is that we've been able to prepare the select statement right there. Next thing we need to do is to just go ahead and bind the params. So I'm going to just say bind params, and to do that is really very simple. I'm going to copy one of these lines that we have up here. So let's copy this and let's paste that down here. Okay, and what we really want to bind is going to be just two things, and just one thing. That's going to be the ID, and let's go ahead and change. This is going to be ID, so we'll go ahead and say last underscore ID, which is the variable that contains that, and we want to change it to last ID. So that's just basically what you want to go ahead and then bind as a string right there. And after that, we need to go ahead and then execute that particular line. So let's go to the next line and go ahead and execute that. So I'm going to just say stmt like that, and we're going to just say execute. Let's terminate this line right here. So, and if we have that executed, what are we really executing? We're trying to execute that the last inserted ID. So for that reason, we're going to put that in here. So we're going to put something like a square bracket in here. They want to bring in that for that variable called last ID like this, and we can use arrow to reference to the the variable itself right here. So we're going to just say last ID, and with that line, we've really done the execution. So the next thing we want to do now is I want to perform a check here. So I'm going to just say if. So what I'm going to do now is to perform a check, and what I really want to check is to really check for a fetch, if I was able to fetch any of those rows. So I'm going to create a variable that I'm going to call row, and I'm going to use the stmt statement right there, and I want to go ahead and then pass that through the fetch object. So this is going to be fetch. If I got that fetch right now, what I want to do is if I'm able to fetch something, I'll put that in this particular variable called row. Okay, so if I have that in a variable, I can go ahead and begin to split them out one after the other. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to spill out the first one called ID, and I'm going to create a variable called ID, and I want to pass in that row variable right here, and go ahead and then grab onto the ID from the column. So this particular ID that we have right here is a column that is on the first table, the ID. So I want to fetch the ID that was on that place. I'm talking about this right now. If we go to this place, this ID column, that's what I want to fetch right now. I want to fetch this one. Okay, and if I have that fetched right now, for the next one, I want to also fetch. I'm not going to fetch everything on that place. I know that this guy really demanded that I should have all the data fetched from that table and then pass that onto another table. Okay, but I'm not going to fetch everything. If I'm able to fetch maybe 4 of these or 3, that should be enough. You can go ahead and then fetch the rest by yourself. So this is going to be cost underscore. So let's say we're fetching the code right here, the customer code, and we're going to change this to the column name. So if you check the database, that was called customer code. So I want to fetch this. So we should be able to just say customer underscore code like that. And after that, I want to fetch the reference. So if I go to the next line, I want to paste what I copied before, and let's change this time around. The variable name is going to be ref, and I want to change that to the column name, which was also called ref. Okay, so if you check that table that I just showed you now, you are going to find out that it was called ref. After that, I want to fetch the customer email. So for that reason, let me copy this since they look a bit familiar. So this is going to be cost email. So let's call that first cost email, and we want to change this from customer code to, so I think it was called customer email right there. So let's change this to, sorry about that. So this is going to be email. Okay, so let's check to double check to be sure. So that was called customer email. So that's correct. Okay, that's really correct. So I've gotten the customer code, and let's create another variable. I'm not going to fetch this one from that table. I'm just going to create a string that is going to just let's go ahead and just build a variable first and call that notification, just like a notifier. It's going to notify us that we really got some data from the first table. So let's put some string in here, which we can just go ahead and let's terminate that line, and we should go ahead and just say something like I came in webhook. Okay, so webhook made that possible. So we're going to go ahead and find a way to insert this particular data now. Remember, I will fetch this particular place. Now from here to this place, we're able to fetch it from the table that we already inserted into our work. Okay, we have that in our first table. So we want to go ahead and create a second table. Maybe we should just call that second table and then insert everything that we have here. Okay, and I'm using this one as just like a notifier. So that's what we're going to do. So what we need to do right now is to go ahead and then create the table, the new table that we want right now. So let's go back to our this particular page right now, and let's click on new table. So I'm going to click on that, and let's go ahead and name this second table. So we're going to call this second, and that's called table. And as far as the columns are concerned, let's just continue. If we couldn't get all of them, let's just create the first one. Let's say that the first column is going to be, we could still call that ID, and we can set that to integer, set that to 11, and we want to make this auto increment, and then set that to primary key also. Okay, so after that, we need to go ahead and then so we have that in here. The next one is the ID. We want to just say ID from something like, we could just say ID from first table. So we're going to just ID from first underscore table, like that, just to know that we really got that from the second from the first table. Okay, and the next one that we want to do right now is to set the customer code. So I'm going to just say customer, and that's going to be customer underscore code. I think we should just abbreviate that. So if we call that cost underscore code, that won't be bad at all. And I want to set that to something like variable character, which I'm going to just set to something like 100. and or maybe we should just set that to 200 just to be on the safer side. So after the customer code or the cost code, we need to create a ref. So I'm going to just say ref, and we need to set that to variable character again, set that to 200, and we need to add more colons right now. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's add 2 more colons. Okay, so we'll add 2 more colons. I'm going to click go, and let's go ahead. The next one is going to be the customer email. So I'm going to just say cost underscore email, and that should be okay. And the next one, let's add the, okay, let's set that variable character for the customer email, set that to 100, and we should go to let's create the, I think, notification this time around. So we're going to go ahead and call that we should call that notification. So let's just call that notification. I hope I spelled that right, notification. And I want to set that to variable character again, and I want to set that to the max 255 right there. And I want to add one more line for the time that such got inserted. So let's click on go, and we want to create. We're just going to say created on, and I want to go ahead and set this to date time, and I want to set this to current timestamp, and that should be it, guys. That should be it. So let's go ahead and click on save. So if you scroll down, you should be able to see save down here, and let's go ahead and click save. All right, so let's go back to our development environment and see how is it that we can insert data into this place. So if I go to my VS Code, and we want to go ahead and then see how we can do that, maybe down here. Okay, so we want to do that down here, and to do it is really not tough at all, just almost the same thing that we have done before now. And let's say we create we'll go ahead and create a variable down here that we're going to just go ahead. So first of all, let's create let's just say something like insert a new table, like that. And to insert into a new table, we'll follow the same process. So I'm going to create a variable, and we're going to just call that insert into table 2. So we'll call that insert into, I'm going to use an underscore here, so into, and this is going to be table 2, like that. And we want to go ahead and then set the our SQL down here. So I'll terminate that line, and I'm going to just say insert into, and we're going to just say table, I mean the name of the table that we just created right now, which is called second table. So we're going to, it was called second underscore table. So we need to mention that in here, and we need to spell out the rows in here, and after that we need to spell out the values right there. So let me put this in a new line. Let it be like this. Okay, so we say insert into second table, and the first column that we want to insert right now is going to be the ID. So it's called ID underscore from first underscore table. Okay, and after that we need to grab onto the next column, which was called cost underscore code. And remember where I'm getting these things from. I'm getting them from the table that we just created. Okay, this is ID from first table, cost code, ref, customer email, and we're going to just continue like that to spell out all of the tables that we need to. And we don't have to include this first one, this one that says ID. This first one is also incrementing, so it can increment by itself. It can insert and then go on its own. So let's continue our work, and this is the next one is going to be what? So let's add a comma here, and the next one is going to be the ref. So this is going to be ref, and after ref we need to go ahead and bring in the cost underscore email, and after that we need to go ahead and bring in the, I think this time around that should be the notification. So we just say notification like that. Okay, all right, so that's just that, guys. That's just that. So the next thing we need to do is to start spelling out the values for it, and we need to do that right now, which the first one is going to be the what is it called, the ID. Someone just say ID, which is this particular ID that we have in here. Okay, so that's the first one that I'm going to put in there, and after that we need to go ahead and then grab onto the next one, which is going to be that should be, everything should be within this particular quote. I think I should take this quotation away. Okay, so this is going to be colon ID, comma, and the next one is going to be colon cost code, and after that it's going to be cost, I mean a colon ref, which is right here, and after that we need to grab onto the the next one, which is cost email. So we're going to just say cost underscore email, which are the variables that we have up here, guys. That's where I'm getting all those things from. So comma, and the next one is going to be the notification. So we're going to just say colon, and we want to bring in this notification that we have above that place. So this is going to be notification. All right, so that's just that. We've gotten that in place, and the next thing that we can do is to go ahead and then let's try and do prepare statements here. So I'm going to put that in if statement, and that's going to be, so let's do that right here. So I'm going to, first of all, let me scroll up so that you can see everything. So within this if statement, as usual, we're going to just first of all create a variable in there, which we're going to just call stmt for the statement, and we're going to go ahead and set that to be equal to the PDO instance. So this is going to be PDO, and we're going to use arrow and then say prepare, just like that. And so if we do that right now, remember that this is going to need this particular variable, that prepare method. So I'm going to copy this variable and paste it in here. So with that, we'll have our prepare statement in place, and we have gotten our prepare statement. We need to go ahead now and then do binding. So we'll do bind right here, and that's going to be very simple. So let me copy one of the binding parameters or the binding that we did up here. So I'm going to copy this line so we can make use of that down here. So let's paste that here. Okay, and the first one we want to bind is going to be the ID. So I'm going to take this away. This is going to be ID, and this is going to be ID. Remember that the ID that we're using is the one that we just fetched from the first table. So that's why I'm removing that, the other one. Okay, so we've binded the first ID. And the next one that we want to bind right now is going to be the that should be the customer code. So I'm going to change this to, so this is going to be cost underscore code, and let's change this to cost underscore code. And after that, we need to go ahead and then bind the ref. So this is going to be ref. So we change that to ref. Change this one also to ref, and the next one is going to be for the cost the email. So paste that. I'll change this to, this is going to be cost underscore email, and we should change the variable to cost underscore email, like that. And I think the last one is going to be for the notification. So we should change this to notification and change this to notification, like that. I think that's just that for now. That's just that, and we want to go down here and then do the execution. So let's just put a comment here and just say execute. So to execute the STMT, let's just go ahead and put that in if statement. So I'm going to just say if. So this is going to be, I'm going to just say if the STMT, which is the statement, was able to prepare, we want to go ahead and then do what, the execution right here. So we'll just say execute and pass that just like that, and you can go ahead and just test this out. So this is just how it should be. So let's save this, and then we need to re-upload this to our web server and then do the testing. All right, so before we do the re-uploading now, just want to add something. I want to exit this file. If everything works just fine, I should be able to just exit this particular file down here. So let's save that, and let's go to our FileZilla, and we want to refresh again, and what we want to do right now is to go ahead and then re-upload this back to our work. Click on overwrite and click OK, and that has been uploaded successfully. And we need to go and test our application again. Let's see if we can get all those things into those two tables, and let's click on success, click on pay, and that payment has just gone through. So if we check our database right here, so let's check this one, and it seems like nothing is on this page. So but let's check the first table, and the two new payment that we just did now came in, and we need to would have also done something to this particular amount right here. We should have divided this by 100 so that it will give us the actual values, but I'll leave you to do that. Just put a division sign in front of it. Just divide it by 100 so that anytime it is inserting, it should be inserting the real amount for us instead of this 10,000 naira we have. This should be 100 naira. So if you go to the variable that actually contains that right now, and whatever we have amount, okay, you know what, let's just do that once here, right here. So I'm going to just do something like this now. I'm going to just say /100 right here and save that. Okay, so this is going to be, I don't want to re-upload this now because I need to figure out why the insertion of the data is not getting into this second table that we just created right now. So after I work on that, we will now re-upload and then see that that amount will just be changed. Okay, so let's take a look at our code and find out why we're having that error. All right, so if we scroll down to the region where we have where we started working on this from this place right now, we need to find out why we're having that error. All right, so I just saw one error right now, and if we scroll up to where we did the execution of this particular side, this last ID right here, so we need to remove this colon right here. So I want to take away that colon, and I will save this and then upload that back to our web browser. And yeah, we need to re-upload that. So let's make sure we refresh this place again and go ahead and then re-upload this, and let's click OK, and that was uploaded. So let's try again, and that should be this webhook. So let's go ahead and select success, then hit payment, and the payment has gone through. So we should check the table to see whether that's coming, and it seems like that still did not. And but if we check first table, it keeps coming in through the first table. So everything keep coming in through the, and look at the correction I did to the amount right now. So the correct amount just came in right now, but I just couldn't figure out why the error is kind of showing up about inserting into the second table. Okay, so we'll keep on debugging that until we find that out. So I think I've also seen another error right here. So we're supposed to have colon in front of this one, this ID that we have right here. So let's add colon there, and let's use this time to, well, let's go ahead and just save that and then try again to see whether that is going to insert this time around. And so if we go back to, for example, right now, when we refresh this part, then go ahead and then upload that again and hit OK, and that has been inserted, uploaded successfully. So we need to go ahead and make payment again. So that is just that. We click on success and then hit pay, and that payment has gone through again. So let's go and check the second table. Alright guys, so I've really figured out where the problem is really coming from. So that's coming from this place where we're fetching the last inserted ID. Okay, remember that to fetch the last inserted ID, that has to do with the PDO instance. It has to go into the database and then grab onto that particular ID, and we did not really pass through the PDO instance here. So we need to pass that through this place. So this is going to be PDO, and we're going to use arrow and just set that like that, and I believe that that should solve the problem right now. So let's re-upload. So if we go to, let's refresh here, open this up again, and we can go ahead and then insert that, upload that, click OK, and that has been uploaded. So let's try making payments again to see whether we're going to see that. Okay, so let's open up this page and let's make payments. And let's go ahead and do that. Okay, that works just fine. And let's go ahead and refresh it. And congratulations guys, so as you can see, that really came in just now. Okay, that really came in just now. And if you want to verify whether this particular line right now, let's check this line that says this is the reference to this particular line right now. If you want to compare whether that really came in from the first table or not, we're going to go ahead and check for this particular reference ID. Okay, so if we go there, that should be this one, and it has an ID, ID of 24. So if we check the first table right now, and if we scroll down to, so if we scroll down right now, I did quite a lot of insertion offline before showing you guys that. So you see that this is 24, and the customer reference is the same thing right here. If you take a look at it, so it's the same thing that we have here now, and it's on ID 24. So that's how we're able to move data from the first table to the second table. Okay, and I hope that I really answered your question, and if it is not, you can just send me some private messages on my email. My email is displayed on the screen right here. Okay, so it's somewhere around this place. So you should be able to contact me through that email so that we can clear some stuff up. But this is just it, okay? This is just it. And I want to say some certain things before I wrap up for this video. All right, so if you really want to do something really scalable or something really important, what you normally do in this type of application, you see where we're fetching the charge right here. So we're able to fetch the charge, which we later discover that it was charge.success that we found here. Before you go ahead and do this insertion of data in here, you need to do that based on what you got from the charge. Okay, if it is charge.fail, if it is charge.invoice, those things that I've shown you from Paystack, those events that are supported by Paystack. Before you do anything, any insertion or anything you want to do, you need to just check to be sure that that particular event is really coming. Is really an event that you want before you go ahead and then do whatever you want to do. And this type of application is really used to give value. If I am to build something like a user subscription application on Paystack now, and I can use this particular part now, this webhook, to give value to my customers. So if I want to do something of that nature, I can do something like, if I say if, like this, if I just say if this particular charge event right now, if I copy that, I'm going to put that in here, is equal to, let's say, sorry about that. So we can just say something is exactly equal to. We can just go ahead and then bring in that particular event. Let's say that the event that we want is just the charge.success. So let's say that what we want is this charge.success that we have in here. So if we want that, we can go ahead and just put that into this particular quotation right here. So you can say something like, if charge event is equal to charge.success, then down here, whatever that you're going to do down here, it will be the value that you want to give. And if it is not equal to charge, if it is equal to something else, you want to deny the person the value. So I just want you to sit down and then create something useful, okay? Because what I've just created now is just to show you how this thing works, okay? Just how it works. But if you want to use it to give value or do anything, this is just what you are going to do. You check for a particular event before you do whatever that you want to do down here. Let's say you want to kind of put people that have already subscribed to a particular package into a particular table so that you can use your coding to now give them value. So you can do that. And let's say now that these ones are under charge.success, you don't even need to be doing any work. If you can grab onto that and put into your database, if there is any change in the event, this is going to update by itself. Okay, it's going to update and then they will post it to this particular webhook URL for you. So you can be doing that, use that, just practice and then see what you can build with it. Thank you guys for watching, and then I'll see you in the next one. So I'm going to take this away and then you get the source code on GitHub. So I'll see you in the next one.